What's up, everyone? Back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing yet another beer from the Allagash Brewing Company, and they're out of Portland, Maine, and this is their Gatherwell. So they're calling this one a bourbon barrel-aged stout that comes in 11% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed. Time of review. This bottle is just over 4.5 months old. So this has been in my fridge since the middle of November, and considering I am now reviewing this one in the middle of January, we have a ton of snow out, and there's actually a plow outside that you might hear. He's plowing the snow. It's chaos outside. So I thought, you know what, to warm me up, we're going to give this one a go. Now, when it comes to Allagash, I don't personally see a lot of stouts from them, certainly not bourbon barrel-aged stouts, and I saw this one, I was like, I gotta give it a go. The only bourbon barrel-aged stout or barrel-aged stout I've ever had from them off the top of the dome piece is their bourbon barrel black. I did not review it. I was gonna say I reviewed it. I had it back in the mid-2010s on draft, and it was delicious. I loved it. On Untappd, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. It was awesome. So when I saw this one, I was like, I got to give it a go. Now, on their website, they do say they aged this one for 5 months in bourbon barrels, and they're also using an Abbey Ale yeast. So this is essentially probably a Belgian-style stout. You're probably going to get, or I should say I'm going to get probably some of that Belgian yeast quality to this one. We will see. They also have a little spiel on the side of the label that I hopefully remember to read at the end. We will see, but it has tasting notes and kind of talks about this one. So we'll crack this one open, get in the glass, see what we got going on. I want to mention, because I want to have full disclosure with you, I did see a couple Untappd friends check this one in over the past couple months, and the running theme for this one, or the prevailing thought, was that the body on this one is quite thin. Like the body and mouthfeel lost some people. So I just want to let you know, up front that I saw that. I'm going to try to not have it influence what I think about this one, so we will see. So anyway, let's get it into the glass. So we got hashtag proper glassware, but not really, but kind of. Try to go a little bit harder here and get a decent head. Yeah, about a finger of head. That's not bad. So we'll put this. Can't speak. This is beer PaTroll. So look, beautiful. In the hashtag proper glassware. Does that look beautiful? I'd say it does. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Now you want to see what the beer looks like? We'll do something like that. So yeah, that has pouring out, it poured out like a dark brown. On camera, it's going to be pitch black. In person, hold up to light. Yeah, this kind of has like a Dr. Pepper root beer kind of vibe to it. Like a very deep dark brown. There's mahogany and ruby red hits at the bottom. Almost a finger, now about a half a finger of the straight up brown colored head. It looked pretty creamy. Swirl it up a little bit. Yeah, it has a nice creaminess, a little bit of soap sudsiness to it. There's alcohol legs around the side of the glass, but 11%, you kind of expect that. Looks beautiful for what they're going for. Let's get a nose. Oh, that's really nice. Wow, it has a huge fruitiness to it. I was not expecting that for some reason. Yeah, there are tons and tons of dark fruit. I'm talking like dried fruit, fresh fruit. There's plums, there's dates, there's raisins. There's like a black cherry, maybe even like a sweeter cherry. Lots of fruitiness, like dark fruits. Yeah, and then, I don't know if that's the yeast, playing a role, but it also has a little bit of like a leather and tobacco thing, which again, I don't mention that a lot when I'm reviewing stouts in general, but I'm definitely getting it here. There's an underlying like roasty kind of chocolate vibe too. Touch of coffee, caramel, toffee. But I will say, now they said 5 months in bourbon barrels, right? There isn't a lot of barrel presence in the nose. There might be a vanilla, but I would mistake that maybe just for the malts themselves. Or a lot of times you'll smell imperial stout of some sort and pick up on vanilla, and it doesn't even have vanilla. No kind of vanilla, no vanilla beans, nothing, and not even barrel aged. And that's kind of what I think about this one, because I'm not getting any substantial bourbon in the nose. No, it has more of like a generic vanilla, but most of this is about the base beer, and the base beer is really nice, making my mouth water. Yeah, there's like a roasted, almost charred kind of like into chocolate note that's really nice. Almost like a raisinette, like a chocolate covered raisin or something in that realm, right? Man, it smells damn tasty. Yeah, I'm hoping that it tastes as good as it smells. The only knock I can say in the nose is that I really don't pick up on a barrel-aged character of any sort outside of like that smidge of vanilla. So hopefully it's a little bit more intense in the taste. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, so I like it. Off of the first rip, I like it, but I'm confused. And I'm confused because of what this beer is supposed to be. It doesn't taste anything like I thought it would. All right, go back for another sip. So, body. I think my Untapped friend's a little bit right. I wouldn't say it's substantially thin, but it is definitely thin for 11%. Where I'm hoping this is like, low to, low to medium full body. This is more like higher side of medium at best. And shout out to Paul over at PBA Brewery. A lot of times, he'll take a sip of a beer and he'll be like, oh, it has a nice mouthfeel up front and then thins out on the back. That's exactly what's happening here. On the back of the palate, like when I first take a sip of it, I'm like, oh, there's a little bit of half. On the second half of the palate, as it slides down, it thins out. And it's kind of weird to me, but that's what's happening. So definitely, like I'd say, higher side of medium body at best, 11%, definitely thin. It's not a huge deterrent to the beer, but I can see a lot of people, not enjoying this beer because the body's definitely thin. The mouthfeel, there's a mild to moderate carbonation, which is nice, so appropriate. There is a smoothness to this one. It's not necessarily creamy, but it has a nice smoothness to it. So I'd say the mouthfeel is better than the body from what I'm tasting. The taste, here's why I said I was confused. My palate, don't ever take my palate for, anything than what when I review these beers, I'm reviewing them based on my palate, right? My palate, I always say shit. And, I have some deprecating humor on this channel when it comes to, my palate, when it comes to myself in general. But, I'll be honest with you, my palate's okay at best. But I will say right now, if I was doing this blind, there is 0% that I would say this is barrel aged. 0. And that sucks to say because they say it's a bourbon barrel aged stout. Now, again, my palate's not great, so take it for what it is, but I'm not getting huge barrel character here. On that sip, I took a bigger sip, maybe a little bit on the back of the palate, but it's not substantial. Now, based on me knowing that this is in the barrel for 5 months, I wish this was in the barrel for 12 months, a whole year. I want a little bit more out of that barrel, or a lot more. All right, so right up front, again, everything from the nose carried over. It has a nice roasty, again, roasted / charred kind of malt character. And it has like a chocolate, like almost like, again, a roasty chocolate. There's a little bit of coffee, underlying caramel and toffee. As it continues to pass through, the dark fruits hit about maybe 2/5 of the way through the palate. And again, it's more of that raisin, plum, date, black cherry, those kinds of dark fruits. On the second half of the palate, the vanilla hits. And here's where I would say the barrel aging is noticeable slightly. It has the vanilla, the vanillins, so the vanilla and the oak, and it has like an oak kind of dryness, like I'd say a semi-dry kind of like oak tannin dryness. But there is no actual spirit for me being detected on the palate. So if this said oak aged stout, I think I'd be a little bit more in line, or just said barrel aged stout, I'd be a little bit. But the fact that it says bourbon barrel is kind of disappointing for what I'm tasting, but it is what it is. Now here's a positive. Does it taste like 11%? It does not. There's a nice warming in the chest. Nothing on the palate. This honestly drinks like, ABV-wise, like something like North Coast's Old Rasputin, which is what? Is that like 9.5, 10, something like that? So this definitely drinks sub 10 for me in, on the palate. Doesn't drink like 11, so it hides the alcohol well, so kudos to them for that. I like the flavors here. Here's the thing. I like this beer. I think it's a good Imperial Stout. If you said oak-aged Imperial Stout, I'd be like, yeah, it's nice. For what it is, though, it misses the mark on the bourbon specifically, and the body's thin. So those are 2 knocks against this beer for me personally, stopping me from really enjoying this one. But I do think it's pretty good overall. Like I'm going to drink the rest of that, and I'm not going to hate my life. It's going to be fine. It's just beer. It's going to be fine regardless. Yeah, I mean, it's not like overly boozy or anything. I just wish it was a bit thicker, and I wish there was more bourbon, or any bourbon, really. Yeah, let's read the side here, and then we'll lock in a rating. It says, rich, dark balance. This full-bodied, they're calling it full-bodied, and dare we say decadent, stout is aged in bourbon barrels for notes of cocoa. Yeah, for sure. Vanilla, okay, and oak. Yeah, okay, so their tasting notes are right on. It says pairs well with any gathering. Hence the name Gatherwell. We're good together. All right, so based on their tasting notes, I think they've done a pretty good job. I get the cocoa, I get the vanilla, and I definitely get the oak. When I see bourbon barrel aged, I'm thinking, hey, give me some, bourbon. That's typically, in my mind what I'm looking for. So let's just say this: as a beer, as a barrel aged Imperial Stout goes, I think this is pretty good. I'm not going to give this 2 ratings though, because I just F it. I'm just going to rate it as a beer. Just let it be known that if you go into this one, you see this one on the shelf, and you go, man, I love bourbon barrel aged stouts. Keep in mind, you're not going to get any kind of spirit presence. You're going to get more of the barrel itself. So oak, a little bit of vanilla. And it is definitely thin for an 11% barrel-aged Imperial Stout. So keep that in mind. And with that being said, I'm going to give Allagash's Gatherwell, their bourbon barrel-aged stout, I'm going to give this a straight, I'm going to go 4 out of 5. Maybe a little bit generous. I could say 3.9, 3.95. I'm going to go 4 out of 5. And the reason I'm going to go 4 out of 5 is because I started to get a little bit more of that barrel as I drank on it. That said, be, again, forewarned that if you're looking for specifically bourbon in this one and like a big, thick, rich, chewy beer, I don't think it's here. But again, everybody's different, to each their own. Everyone has a different palate. So anyway, that's their Gatherwell, and I am giving it a 4 out of 5, which I think is a fair score. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to throw this over here, and price point and availability. I believe in my area this was like $17.99 a 4-pack, so you're talking $4.50 for a bottle of 11%. Bourbon Barrel Aged Imperial Stout, that's fine. Might be a bit pricey for some, but $4.50 for a bottle of this, I don't think that's all that bad. And availability is Allagash. Where we see Allagash, you probably should have seen this one last year. I doubt this is going to be hanging out on the shelves. They probably have a beer finder on their website. But if you get Allagash stuff, this was like their, I think more of their like fall seasonal, more so than a winter seasonal. But I think there's still some 4-packs and bottles at my local bottle shop that I bought this one at. So you might see it hanging out on the shelf if it didn't get all bought up by everybody who wants the Allagash stuff. I love Allagash. I've been drinking their stuff for over 10 years. So you can probably kind of tell that I'm slightly disappointed in this one because I wanted like that Bourbon Barrel Black that I mentioned at the beginning of the review. Like that kind of blew me away when I had it. I was hoping this would be much of the same. While I am not disappointed that I'm drinking this beer specifically in my glass, I am disappointed that what I was hoping for this beer isn't in my glass. But at the end of the day, it's still a good beer. Allagash still a world-class brewery to me, one of the better ones when it comes to Belgian-style beers in the U.S. And that's the one thing I'd say. I didn't get specifically like a Belgian yeast in here, the Abiel yeast. Probably the dark fruits are popping, but I was hoping maybe for like a little bit of spiciness or something. But no, not really. There's no way I would tell you this is a Belgian-style stout underneath everything. And now I just took that sip. It has a little bit more of like a fudgy chocolate to it. So I'm going to stick with that 4 out of 5. If you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. Have you had any other barrel-aged stouts from Allagash? If so, what was your favorite? Like I said, that Bourbon Barrel Black, still to this day, again, I remember that one because it was delicious. Maybe they'll, rebrew that one and put it in bottles and it'll show up locally and I'll give it a go. So yeah, anyway, if you had this one fresher too, let me know. Did you get bourbon in it? Maybe this one's a little bit, almost 5 months in the bottle. Maybe, some of the barrel characteristics had kind of died out. I don't know. I'm just trying to, I'm grasping for straws here. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. No, just reviewing beer on YouTube and having a good time with it. So appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. To the next one. Cheers.